LLMs are great at generating Markdown. They're also great at consuming Markdown. They're amazing at data science, wrangling data, and providing analysis and understanding context based on data. However, they're quite bad at converting this into this, a beautiful report that you can share with your team. And they're also quite bad at visualizing data like this. So typically the way you do it is you'd ask Claude to create on the fly HTML pages, both to eventually create a report like that you can then print to PDF, or to pick up a chart libraries and have a bit of brainstorm session with you to decide how to render the data using which graphs and so on and so forth. But to be honest, this is kind of reinventing the wheel. And so that's why I've created Instant Canvas. And Instant Canvas is a very simple skill. You can find it on Google. If you Google for HappySkills, HappySkills is my project. HappySkills is a repository of skills. There are currently up to almost 65,000 skills there, so most likely the skills you want is there. And you can find Instant Canvas on HappySkills if you Google it. Instant Canvas HappySkills is there. And to install it, you simply copy this command here and run this in your project. So once HappySkills is installed, HappySkills is just a skill that can control the CLI. Again, there's no authentication, it's completely free. It's open source too, so if you're interested, you can check up at the GitHub repository where everything is documented there. And what HappySkill is a huge library of 2D and 3D charts. They're extremely well documented, and they're documented in a way that the skills can communicate with Claude to provide the catalog of all the charts that are available. So Claude can then decide on its own which graph is the best suited for the job. And notice that those graphs are also interactive, so you don't have to, so that's also a neat feature. And pretty much I think every graph you can think of is inside Instant Canvas. So really you don't have to worry about choosing a graph library. Instant Canvas get you covered. At that point you simply ask Claude to render those for you. The cool thing about this is that first it's way faster. Well, you'll be consuming less token too, because it's just everything has been built for you. You don't have to, like I said, reinvent the wheel and recode everything or ask Claude to recode everything. The other good thing is that once you can limit yourself to, for example, just rendering the data using a specific graph. But if you have many graphs, or you want to have a full picture of what Claude is telling you by text, but you want to have a full set of visualization, then typically you'll end up with a page like this. And then at that point here, you know the old say, a picture can tell more than 1,000 words. Once you have this, you can also easily click this button here, and this will render the document, something that you can easily share as PDF, and it's well formatted. You can also tune the color palette here, so you have a lot of presets. You can create your own color palette if you don't like what you're seeing here. We even have like dark themes, so it's quite flexible. You can also on the fly, for example, here I'll show you another project. What is it? Instant Canvas also supports presentation, so you can simply ask it to create a presentation. You'll be able to present that full screen if you want, and plus a lot of other nifty features that I'll let you explore, because this is obviously like a little local web app, so there are a lot of other things you can do with it. But the main reason I created this was to help me convert my Markdown in professional reports that I can share with my team, and also to do a lot of data visualization, because I do a lot of data science work, and typically I need a lot of graphs, and I was sick of coding all those graphs myself every time. So that's it. Maybe I'll show you quickly how that works with a dummy project. Maybe I'll show you how that works with a dummy project. So let's just imagine you have this project here and it has a series of Markdown file and some data you want to render. So what you'll do is you'll simply open Claude in this project. That's it. I've already installed Instant Canvas in the project, so you can see it is here or here. This is just that skill that I've installed. And from here, you can say, use Instant Canvas to open this project. All right, so that's it. That's literally the project here. And you can see that we have those Markdown. So you can simply click on those Markdown, and here, nothing special. It just renders the Markdown as an HTML page. You can already tweak the color palette if you want, but that's not really useful. It's more useful when you want to convert this to a PDF. And here, directly without doing anything, you can either toggle or untoggle the table of content. And you can also, for example, here, I'm going to add headers and footers. So here I get the header and the footer will just be the page numbers. If you want, you can also convert this to a white paper. So obviously here, this is a bit silly because it's not really a white paper, but you could ask Instant Canvas to, if you have a more academic audience and you have a Markdown file with a lot of mathematical expressions, then that's where the white paper format is very useful. I'll do a quick demo at the end to show you how that works. But here, as you can see, for example, there's literally no modification of the Markdown, and you may want to, for example, add a cover to this. So for that, we'll simply go here and we'll say, can you please add a front and back cover to the README file? Go online, find free websites for wallpapers. Find a wallpaper that is in line with the content of the README. And once that's done, analyze the cover page, the front and back cover, and reverse engineer the color palette to use it for the entire document, so we have a very beautiful and consistent document. As it's doing its work, I'll just show you how to create a white paper with formulas. Can you please use Instant Canvas to create a new white paper? We don't have content for that white paper, so just feel free to imagine the typical white paper body with an abstract, with authors, references, and so on and so forth, and include a few complicated mathematical expressions so we can just visualize the way it looks like. All right, so the white paper is already in, and so this is how it looks like. I mean, you've seen white papers before, but the cool thing is that notice that it supports mathematical expressions, which are typically a total pain in the neck to get right in LaTeX. So here it's provided for you. You can have, again, like either the HTML version of the page with all this craziness, and also the print version. Again, for whatever reason, it chose that color palette, but for me, I'll prefer to have like the black and white here. And that's it. So you have your white paper here. Now, if you wonder what that white paper is, and we have a quick look at the source code, it's here. Notice that there are two things. There's a Markdown file, which is the actual body, all the content with the formulas. And then notice that there is this little companion file, which is the same name of the Markdown file with, after this, .canvas.json. And this is the actual configuration of how it looks like, with things like the theme, the header, the footer, the page format, and so on and so forth. So when you're simply looking at a raw Markdown file here, this table of content, notice that the audio file here doesn't have a companion. So what we have here is just on the fly, the app on the fly renders the table of content, and then you can change the color palette if you want, but nothing is persisted. That's why also there's no cover page possible for this for this document because it doesn't have a companion and an extra set of metadata to help Instant Canvas understanding how to exactly render this. So if this is the only thing you need, then you don't need to interact with Instant Canvas. You can simply open it, Instant Canvas, select your file and say, all right, this is good enough for me. I just need to maybe change the color palette and I'm happy with that. And then you can click print and off you go. If you're happy with this, then that's great. But then if you really want to customize it and it looks like the previous job we launched is done. So let's have a look how this, and we asked to be modified with a cover. And notice that now we have this companion here that came back. So now before we only had the readme.md, but now we have a companion canvas.json that should have now enhanced the document, and this is how it looks like. So it went to fetch a cover picture. It also inferred the color palette from the cover and then styled the rest of the document. It chose a dark theme for the document, and notice that we also have a back cover. It did all this on its own, and that's how it looks like. And this is great because this is way more professional. This will appeal to your clients. And again, this is just a Markdown file at the end. So this is awesome because you can just stay with Claude, let Claude do all its Markdown, and then Instant Canvas will simply lay it out for you. But notice that if I come here and let's just say death to admin panel, death to charts, and I save this, notice that this is also there. So this is rendered in real time because Instant Canvas watch all the changes in your folder. So that's it. Now you don't have to worry at all about how your Markdown is going to look like. You can stay in Markdown, embrace it, let the AI just deal with it, generate it, consume it. And then when it's time to generate an artifact that is better for presentation, then you simply rely on Instant Canvas to do that. Same thing for your mathematical formula. Now this is handled for you. Don't worry about it. And if you're only interested in visualizations, then that's it. That's also a tool that is extremely useful. That's it for this demo. I hope you enjoyed it. Please go and check out HappySkills. HappySkills is my baby project that I'm using all the time now to manage all my skills. I'm going to do a full video on how to use HappySkills, but the idea here is that instead of having to search for skills, you simply describe what you want and HappySkills find the skills you need. It's also amazing at authoring skills. Again, creating skills is a total pain in the neck, especially if you end up with large skills that you want to auto-invoke efficiently. Very hard to do that when your skills become very big. Also very hard to do that when you end up with a lot of skills in your project. So HappySkills is really there to help you author your skills using best practices and also share them privately. So another pain point I was trying to fix with HappySkills is to make sure that you can create private skills and keep them in one place. They're automatically versioned. So I'll show you, for example, one that I use all the time, which is reframe last answer. So reframe last answer is something that I use all the time when Claude, especially Claude Fable 5, responds something that is too complicated for me to understand. I use that skill. So this is how your skills look like. I mean, there's only one version here. Maybe I'll show you one with a lot of version. Update doc. And I'll do a full documentation about those skills because I use them all the time and they're great for managing memory. So you can see that here I've got like a lot of versions, and every time you deploy one of your skill there, it's automatically versioned. You don't have to worry about it. You can always revert a skill to a specific version and look what they used to look like before. So there's a lot of goodness, a lot of time making sure that this system pretty much works like NPM but for skills. And there's already 65,000 skills on this project. So go ahead. What I keep seeing people doing is that they create a gigantic GitHub repository with all the skill they love. You don't have to do this anymore. Just create a free account. It's completely free. create a free account on HappySkills, and then put all your skills there. I'll show you my account. If you want to bookmark skills, so for example, you probably have on your computer a repository where you've put all your skills there, and then you kind of manually managing all the skills, and they drift because you've pulled a skill a month ago, but in the meantime it moved to a new version, so now the one that you have on your computer is outdated. Plus you've put another version control, sometimes it's a mess. Here what you do is that you create your account, you go on your favorite, or you find the skills you like and you simply add them to your favorite, and then they'll appear here. And then from here, once you're inside Claude and you've installed in HappySkills, HappySkills is just a set of skills. Once it's installed, you simply say, what is the skill that is in my favorite that does work related to SEO? And at that point, it lists all the SEO skills that you've added to your favorite, and that's how you can install that. So that way, you simply put all your skills in HappySkills, the one that you like, you add them to your favorite, and then you simply say, use HappySkills to find the skills that does SEO that is normally in my favorites, and it'll find that. There's way more than that in HappySkills. I'll do a full video about it very soon, so if you're interested in that, please consider subscribing to my channel and creating a free account on HappySkills. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy Instant Canvas. If you have any feedback, please feel free to reach out, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.